welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Bluffside Crossing. And in today's episode, I want to take a look at the roadway network and fix some transportation and traffic problems with the roadway network. Way back in episode 11, that's back in September, I believe September 17th, I made a video where I created the ring highway around Bluffside Crossing. And I will readily admit that my skill with some of the mods at that time wasn't what it is today. So I want to take a look back at the ring highway and the roadway network in general and make some fixes. This is kind of in anticipation of some harbors that I'd like to place throughout the city. I want to make sure that the roadway network makes sense before I place those harbors. At the time, I'm not sure that I was respecting the topography the way that I should have been. And a lot of that has to do with my ability with the mods. But I'm significantly better now, so we're going to take a look. But I want to up the challenge. And I've heard in the comments a number of people asking me to turn despawning off, place this into hard mode, so we are going to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom way out here. We'll get all of this junk off. And then we'll take a look at our traffic. And I'm going to let this go on high for about 5 minutes. So what this demonstrates is that following proper roadway hierarchy can really make you have a great roadway network. And it doesn't matter whether or not you have despawning on or off. I've been kind of jumping around between 75 and 79%, which is exactly where I was before I turned despawning on. But we're not without hotspots. There are certain areas that need some work. I think that this road, it's really the primary outlet here, and that's problematic. So what I've created here is, it's not a cul-de-sac, but all of the traffic is funneling onto this bridge. Then we have one bridge that is primarily for the tram, although pedestrians can walk on that too. And then we have a pedestrian and cycling bridge. So all of the roadway traffic is funneling through this roundabout. Still, it's not broken. Nope. Well, let's back it up a little bit, but things are still moving, and ultimately that's what matters. Another hotspot. So this roundabout here is a little bit slow, but things are still moving appropriately. This roundabout here is broken, or not totally broken, but it has moments of failure. So this is a place that I think I might want to look at improving. I was really disappointed to see this not fail because I hate this. We're going to fix this today. This double trumpet craziness is not, that's weird. I don't like that. I don't think I was thinking this through when I put this together. And, I don't like clover leaves, but that might be the solution here. Something is better than this. This intersection here is a problem. This should probably become a roundabout or something, but truthfully, I think the bigger problem is we have an arterial meeting a collector, meeting another collector here, collector. So many roads coming together all at once. And, this probably should be reconfigured in a way that prioritizes the primary movement. The primary movement is this movement here. So this would be coming from this this arterial, turning and going up here. So that should be the primary movement, and the other movements should not be the primary movements. That said, the amount of eminent domain needed to fix that is going to be crazy if we do it. That is not a today project. Another area where there's some congestion is over here by the business park. But it's not even really congestion. This roundabout bridge is working as it's supposed to. It's just busy. And one of the main reasons it's busy is when we removed the highway coming into downtown, you kind of forced all motorists to make a decision. Are you going right or are you going left to get to downtown? You can't go straight anymore. So it appears that most motorists that are deciding to go right, looping back around and coming up this way. and using this as the primer. Let's check that out. So yeah, there's a lot of trips that are coming and using this roundabout. So it is dispersing traffic, which is something I cared about. And people are also coming this way and looping back around. There's a number of ways that people are taking to get places, and ultimately that redundancy is important. Now, a place where we don't have redundancy, this little industrial district. And so I was trying to recall, as I was sandboxing this episode, why I made this cul-de-sac with this crazy trumpet thing, and I remembered why. I didn't have the tiles purchased, and so gonna do a better view. So I didn't have the tiles purchased to move this, so I'm actually going to, let's get this city vitals out of the way. I'm going to purchase this tile and this tile, and this is something we are going to fix today. And then there's a little bit of congestion over here. Now this is I'm reluctant to say it's a bad design, but it is. Bluntly, we've got this access to the local into this district, which probably should be a collector, but we have a local road, and this local road is carrying all the traffic, and it's really close to the interstate. We're lucky it's not backing up. It probably should be. One quick fix here that I'll probably do is to just remove that signal. I don't think it's warranted necessarily. Actually, it probably is, now that I think about it. The amount of traffic you'd see. We'll still operate without it for a little while. We'll see what that does to our traffic flow, because I think it might improve it. And with that, I think what I want to do, you can kind of see that, we have two areas that are cul-de-sac, and I just want to go into our topography and take a look at what some of our roads are doing. We've got some lumpies and bumpies, and I'm really unhappy with the way that this looks. This is very steep. We can do better, and we should do better, and we should have done better to start. We also got a bridge here, kind of arbitrarily, and there as well. This would be something that you would expect extensive grading to take place to remedy before you build the highway. Same thing here. You'd think that this would probably be raised up through here at some elevation level, because you wouldn't want a dip. You'd have some visibility questions, and it would just kind of be a scary drive in the best of conditions, and in the worst of conditions, really, really treacherous. And look at this, it's like that's terrible. Cars just going up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's get out of this view, and we'll turn on our topography lines using Touch It. And that's brutal. That is brutal. We're gonna come back to this. I want to pay some special attention to that. The first place I want to take a look at, though, now that we know that our traffic is fine, is this area over here. Now, in reality, if we were going to rebuild this, boy, we would have to have some crazy bypass plan put together, because you don't just say, I have a plan for rebuilding this. You'll say, I have a plan for rebuilding this, and I have a staging plan for how that construction would take place. And that plan would be as complicated as the final design, because you're removing lanes, you're switching lanes, and that's why some of these projects take so long, because you have to really put a lot of time and effort into the initial planning of the closure, and that can take years to come up with the design and years to implement. That said, this is a game. So what would take years will take us an afternoon. So let's get rid of all of this. Okay, a nice fresh canvas to work with, and I really like that. So I really think I should have done some grading here. Whenever you have a high capacity road, you're going to have lots of grading. You'll see that when you see an interstate project. The amount of grading that is done prior to construction is really outstanding. It's really it's something to behold. So with that in mind, we're going to do the same thing. Now, I already know what I want to do here, and I will shine some light on that as I go about installing it. But the first thing we're going to do is get things ready. And actually, I think I went the wrong grade on this. We'll bring it up just a bit, a couple feet. And then we're going to raise everything up over here on the way to our bridge. And I know this looks rough right now. We will fix this in the future. But right now, we're more concerned about getting this right. Okay, so we've got this. Got a nice level pad to start working on. Let's start planning out what we are going to do here. Now, I know some people would say, I'm going to build this myself, but I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So I've got a number of interchanges already downloaded from the store. I really need to go through these and clean them up. I don't like many of these, but I do like this one, this industrial interchange. And one of the reasons I like it, it needs some work. I will be more than upfront about that. But one of the reasons I like it is it does a really good job of dispersing traffic. Now we've got some problems. We've got this transformer here, this substation with no access now. We're going to move that. We're just going to use eminent domain, take some of these industrial warehouses, and everything's solved. We're also going to use a lot of eminent domain, taking these buildings away here as well. We're going to try our best to line this up with our existing road and place that right there. Now there is a bit of an offset, and we'll need to remedy that, but right now we are okay. That said, let's make these couple of connections. So this is overkill coming out of the roundabout, so I'm going to take these down. They've also just used kind of a conventional 6-lane arterial road here. I think I'm going to use the national 4-lane highway to meet these together, and that'll speed things up as people are leaving. There is this stub. I think I'm going to upgrade that to a collector, and we'll just leave that there for the time being. The nice thing about this change is it gives us the ability to operate on the other side of the highway. So I like that. I think that would be a good thing from a planning standpoint to open up this other land for development. So next, we need to figure out how we're going to meet up with this highway, and I don't like anything that's happening with this. I didn't build this, so I don't feel bad about destroying it. So what I'm thinking here, first of all, I think I need to expand my pad a bit. You start to see just how big things are when you start building. So we're going to need to think about two things right off the bat, and that is where we meet up with this road and where we meet up with this one, and how that connection is going to work. This is the junction that I had in mind. So I really, really, really love this junction. I've used this in this series before, and I think it would work really well right here. So what I'm thinking is we will have this junction here, and we will direct this around to this freeway connection here and over to the bridge here. This bridge is now too low, so we're going to have to rebuild this bridge. This would be probably the most expensive project in the city ever. So not for the faint of heart, certainly. So I am going to I want these to be parallel, so I'm going to create a new node, throw some anarchy on, and I'm going to do all of my planning with this using the dirt roads. I just find it to be a little bit easier. So get those to the same height, and then we'll get building. So I'm going to turn off my road guidelines here. I don't think they're helping me. I think they're making things harder. Now I'll turn them back on so I can meet up with that bridge. And I went a little bit too far on the straight segment, so I'm going to back this out and give it another shot. It is a significantly nicer connection. Let's mirror that for the other road. Now, I know I could have probably tried to use the parallel road tool, but for the amount of futzing and putzing that I'd be doing, it's just not, in my mind, worth it. I kind of want to see. I'm a little. All right, so I think I was getting a little bit too far away from the original bridge, which would make it look weird. I'm okay moving this off. We're gonna have to. These roads don't line up perfectly, but I'd much rather do that on the way to this highway than with the bridges themselves. So, okay, we've got this. I'm going to upgrade these, and then we'll make our connections. Don't want to forget this here, so I won't. Ooh, there's an extra node there, I think. Oh, no. It's reversing directions. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, power lines are re-established. Good there. Now, I just kind of want to take a look and survey. Does this look good? Ooh, that is smooth. That is good. Nice and clean. So let's make our connections over here to our new interchange. We'll do the exact same thing over here. We'll get all this stuff to be 100% perfect over time, but we've made our connections there. Don't want to forget about them. Now, same thing here. So I think I am going to start this curve a little bit sooner than it wants me to. We could freestyle with that a little bit, so that's exactly what I did. Now I'm going to go through and look at all of my directionality and make sure that it's right, because I know it's not. I'm noticing kind of a weird, janky little edge here, so we'll get that fixed. Good. The other thing that I don't love in this particular location is I am going really quickly down off this bridge, which leads to a pretty steep connection. So while I'm here, let's just remedy that real quick. Good. We're also dipping down kind of arbitrarily, and all of that makes this a less smooth connection. So if you came to see topography completely disrespected, you're in luck. That is what we're doing today. We are taking the topography and forcing it to do our bidding. So, good enough. All right, a little bit more of that type of work here. This should probably be a bridge. Yeah, that looks a lot better, in my humble opinion. So let's clean up some of this earthwork that we did. Okay, not perfect, but very good. And that works for me. So now there's such a significant elevation change here that you can't even see where the highway is supposed to meet up. So we're gonna need to do some significant earthwork here to create a clear path for the highway. And I'm trying to think of the best way to approach this, and I'm thinking it might actually be to just put the road in and grade after the fact. And again, like we did over on the other side, the other freeway, we're gonna create a nice even landing for ourselves. Then we'll just mirror that. Okay, so you might be thinking, how do we fix this mess? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward in my mind. So, a lot of it's going to be going through and adjusting object heights. And then a big part of it's going to be, we want to take all of these nodes, we're going to select them all and slope them. So that's all I want to select here. And it's going to carve it right in for us. And once more, I'm going to go for broke here. There we go. And you see how this carved it right in. But look at how smooth. Oop. Look at how smooth that was before I moved it all over the place. Okay, we do need to do a little bit of work here too. I think that we didn't really factor in these nodes down here. Yeah, that makes a significant difference. And you see it spreads these grading marks out quite a bit, which is very helpful. Those roads are very even now. So let's get these upgraded. These are a little closer than I'd like them to be, but we've got a fix for that. We will get to that. So this ramp is kind of crazy. So I'm going to move this up, this node, and step this back. Okay, so now we just need to make this not look insane. So that's our next objective. So I'm taking what I think would be the primary movements on the roads and prioritizing those, giving those 2 lanes. And I know that roadway hierarchy believers are not going to love what I'm doing here, but I'm giving people the option to merge in. So, sorry, Biffa. So I'm just wondering if I have one too many nodes, and that's why I'm kind of struggling with this. And I think that was the case. If you get too many nodes, it can be a little bit of a struggle to make some of these merges look clean. So just clean it up a little bit, remove a little bit of that, and yeah, much nicer. I'm going to go into node controller and try to clean up some of these slopes. And I'm sorry, I keep going back and forth on a couple of these. Okay, I think that's significantly better. So now we have this grading to worry about. Also got some kind of weird stuff going on here, and hopefully the grading will fix some of that. So let's do it. I'm gonna go with a really wide brush and really work to clean some of this mess up that we made. Now we could use the right mouse button to kind of create a bit of a cliff along the side, which I think is kind of a neat look. You would imagine that they'd be blasting to make this connection work, so it's not completely unreasonable. I think I'm going to do that just for the aesthetic. Yeah, I like that. So, okay, let's make sure our directionality is right, and then we'll run this. And it looks like we're good. And why don't we take a look at our traffic? Oh, I think that That's working really well. I like that. But I do see a significant issue. Actually, I wanted to look. Okay. I realized I got rid of this power line at one point. I want to make sure it was still working. So I do see a significant issue, and that is still that this area is a cul-de-sac. Now, why would I say it's a cul-de-sac? There's a grid there. It can't be a cul-de-sac. No, it is a cul-de-sac. There's one way onto the highway, and no other evacuation route is available. It also means that if you're coming in here, there's only one way to get in, and that is right here. Now you see the backups happening. They are significant and they are severe, and that is because we are backing up. Let's take a look. So this stoplight right here is backing up to the roundabout, which is backing up to the highway, where everyone's merging to get in together. Oh, that is terrible. All right, let's play with the lanes a little bit. And then I want to play with this roundabout as well. So we don't have roundabout settings applied. That will help set up the giveaways. Same thing here. And hopefully that'll improve things. And I kind of want to just look to make sure that there are no stop signs or crazy things happening. I don't see anything. The speed's a little high on the roundabout, and if I wanted to get really specific about it, I think that fixing those speeds might not be the worst problem. Then we've got vehicles like this one that doesn't know how to use a roundabout, so that will mess things up too. So truthfully, until there's another way to get to this area, I think we're going to see issues. That said, who needs to worry about issues when you could worry about painting cement? We'll do gravel. Gravel is much more appropriate in this area. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I do not like this backup, though. What are you guys doing to me? That is truly bizarre. They're all in the right-hand lane. Every last one of them. And it's starting from over here. So let's... Interesting. I have no idea why they think that the best place to enter the roundabout. Well, and they're doing some weird stuff over here too. I'm wondering if I get rid of a node. Maybe 2 nodes. We'll see what that does. Maybe just for the sake of balance, I'll do the same thing over here. Straightens out the road, gives it a better look, in my opinion. We do need to fix this now. Oh. You know what? I can't believe I didn't notice this. We have trees in the road. That might be a reason. Just kind of do a quick survey of all the work I've just done to make sure that we don't have any other trees in the road. I don't know that that is the reason why this is occurring, but I can't imagine it helps. So I think it might have been a bad idea actually to get rid of that node. All right, well, I will have to do a little bit of work to figure that out. There's something strange happening, I think, with my nodes that's causing people to feel like they have to merge. Another idea. Let's take a look at where these cars are going. And most of them are... Oh. Interesting. A whole bunch of these cars are looping back around. I know the problem. This is wrong. Okay. That would cause a traffic jam. a whole bunch of cars going the wrong way down this roundabout and cars trying to avoid them. Alright, that was a boneheaded mistake, but I'm glad we were able to troubleshoot it, because that was troubling. So this will resolve over time. So I do want another connection in here though. So let's take a look at our topography. And one of the nice things is with this reconfiguration, we have a whole bunch more land that we could expand this industrial area into now, because one of the unfortunate things that we did is we kind of created a situation over here where we're landlocked. We could try to expand this over, but we'd have to do a lot of reconfiguration of this roadway corridor to make it work. So I think what I want to do right now is figure out a way to make a connection between this district and this part of the city. And there seems to be a natural connection in my mind that might be a little controversial in yours. And that is, I'm going to put a roundabout right here, go along the riverbanks, cross at as short a section as I can possibly connect at, and then come up here, switching back and forth until I get back over here. So I think for that, I am going to use a national road. And I'm not going to pause this. I'm going to create a bunch of traffic jams and I'll fix it at the end. We're going to try to respect the topography, although in the beginning it's going to be very difficult. I am going to force this to be ground level. That'll be the way that I make the topography respect me. So I think at right about here is where I want to cross. So I'm going to angle back and then bring it back around. And I'll let it do what it thinks is best. Here. Now there's a decent chance that I messed these power lines up, so I am going to pause it for a second. Again, force that ground connection. And we're going to need to do some grading after the fact. We're just going to slowly increase our elevation, going up about 10 meters every 10 or so units. And then I think we're going to switch back around over here. We use anarchy to make that happen, because I know that this isn't going to go over well. And now I just need to figure out where we're going to connect up over here. So I think we don't have to use eminent domain right here. So this would probably be the best location. Let's back this out just a little bit. And then we'll make our connection. This will be a little bit slower because this is going to be a sharp turn. Apparently I've decided it's one way. So, all right. So this is not our final resting place with this road. We're going to do some leveling. And this is probably the spot where it needs it the most. This is very, very, very steep. Crazy steep. So, that didn't work. Well, maybe it did. I guess it's all a matter of perspective. Okay, that did work. All right, so I think this is a lot easier to navigate now. It's still a steep road with some turns and apparently a flat top right there. We gotta take care of that. And you can kind of see the topographic lines spreading, which is exactly what we would want. That means it's flatter the further those are away from one another. Yeah, so that's good. Alright, so I think I'm going to use node controller before we clean this up, just to see if there's anything I can do. Then over here I'm noticing a dip. Bring that up. No reason to have that dip there. Same thing here, another dip. and kind of a smooth progression up to this area. Now I want to put a roundabout here, and I know this is going to be controversial. First of all, we need this terrain to be totally different. Again, like I said, topography. Today we are your master. You will respect us. So we'll bring this up. We're going to lower this down, and then we're going to need to do some significant sloping down the line to make this work. So we'll hop out of here, go into our roundabout builder, throw in a nice sized roundabout, and then we'll continue our work on the slopes, because we can't have an approach to these that is janky and crazy. It needs to be relatively flat in its approach. Okay, so that in my mind is significantly better. The biggest problem I see here is we need this to be kind of close to a 90 if at all possible. By kind of close, I mean I'm going to make it a 90. So okay, so I think this is significantly better. Again, we're going to want to play with the slopes a little bit to make sure that we're sloping into the roundabout. I might actually take that last node and get that as straight as possible. Okay, so I can keep futzing and putzing with this, but it's just probably where it's going to be. So now we need to figure out this roundabout. So I think I'm going to do a 4-lane road because we have 2 collectors coming into, or 2 arterials coming into here, the 2 3-lane arterials, and then this is also an arterial technically as a highway. So we would also want that to have a pretty significant number of lanes. Now this almost turns into a traffic circle with that many lanes, and it certainly is if we have signals there. So we're going to get rid of those signals. Those should not be there. It is going counterclockwise, so that's perfect. Now we need to fix the terrain. Again, we'll feather this out. And then I do want to level this ground a little bit here. We also have kind of a weird approach into the roundabout, so I think we're going to need to fix that a little bit as well. Just want to square that up as much as I can. Same thing over here. And truthfully, on this one, it seems like there's an extra node, and that will probably help quite a bit. So there was some eminent domain to make this happen. We thank you for your land, because it was necessary. So let's clean this up a little bit. All right, so now we have another path to get over to our district. Man, this road just bugs me. Just hold on, I've got to fix this. This isn't sitting well with me. Now there is no topography to speak of, so to have such challenging connection. Okay, that makes me a ton happier. I think that is significantly better. So let's get back into it, and let's see if people actually use this new road. You can already see a couple of cars going up and down. We do need to do... Oh, whoa. Forgot about power. I knew that was coming. So let's get that reestablished. Back in business. All right. So I do want to do a little bit of earthwork over here as well. You know, we kind of just meandered and forced our way up the hillside. So let's do a little bit of grading. So the other thing is we have quite a significant grade jump over here, and knowing that these are heavy vehicles that will be using this road, That's a little less than ideal. Let's get that remedied. And then do some grading there as well. Okay. Much better. I know there was a lot of grading. But, you know, in this kind of scenario, I don't think that is at all unreasonable. Because if you think about it, these are very expensive roadways. The last thing you want to do is do them over, like we did over here. So you'd think that they'd want to get it right the first time and they'd spend the money to do it right. This is a crazy backup here. I don't think that this is ideal, having a signal right in the middle of this area. Now that this is an arterial. An arterial kind of dumping into this local road. Ideally, you'd probably have a roundabout here. Maybe sever some of these connections or make this a collector. Yeah, it's tough. This is a really difficult place to actually follow roadway hierarchy. Short of having this be an arterial that meets up with this one and having collectors coming off from there. So we might have some issues here. I just kind of want to see. Ooh. Make improvements. Destroy the traffic flow. So another idea. So if we have a one-way couplet, that is a collector. So why don't we do that? So that said, we're going to need to reimagine this a little bit. So let's back this out just a bit. We'll see what this does. Hoping that this doesn't turn into people looping back around here for, or we could just kill the entire district by eliminating their access to power. Okay, this should remedy that. We have some places that we can zone up here too, so before I forget about it, let's just do that. I also want to turn the zoning off on these roads here. That is not the purpose of those roads. It is to disperse traffic and hopefully stop this chaos. So the other thing, we have this collector going through here, and I'm wondering if it makes the most sense just to eliminate this altogether, because it is creating stop, and we don't want a stoppage through here. So this is fun for me because this is not at all how I would approach fixing a traffic problem like this in reality. You don't have the opportunity to fix it. In some cases, that's why you have areas that are perpetually backed up and everyone knows it, and you're stuck. So in an area like this, having the ability to actually fix it in the game is a blast. Okay, too many overlays. What I'm trying to do now is I'm noticing that these vehicles are stopping because of issues they're having. So you have a bunch of stops here for no reason. So I don't want any stopping at all. So what I'm going to try to do is provide we're going to have fires. is provide a way for people to get to where they want to go without stopping. Now, truthfully, I kind of wonder if this road is creating more harm than good, because you see that people are using it as kind of a shortcut to come back around, creating congestion in other areas. But I think some of this might resolve itself over time. There's just a really significant backup at this point. Why don't we let this run again for a couple minutes and see what happens? So I'm starting to wonder if maybe a little bit of lane mathematics might help in this location. Now the math's still all off here, but it's a little bit better. So hopefully I mean, it's just kind of a struggle because you have these cars over here that are trying to get... Everyone's trying to stay in this lane. Oh, hold on. For some reason we lost that. Did we lose it here too? So I wonder if it's as simple as that little change there, giving people the comfort they need to get in the correct lane. There does appear to be an extra node here. Okay, so things have improved. So that was a little bit of a marathon to make that work, but I like where we've ended up. Let's take a look at our new road. Seems like it's carrying a fair bit of traffic. Let's look at our routes. Look at that. Clearly this was a desirable route to have. Interestingly, we're just bleeding population. Lots of jobs. One thing that we might have wanted to do over here, this wouldn't be a super desirable place to live from a traffic standpoint, but I imagine there would be people who would want the nice water view. So why don't we take some of this and build some houses along it? And we have rural power lines now, so why don't we use those to bring the power down here. Also need some water. And these probably should have been the heat pipes, but I forgot. So I am going to loop them though. It's important. And then I'm going to let this sim just for a minute. We'll see how this goes. And I think I have a quick answer to that question. Slow. One other thing that might be kind of nice in a kind of a little outpost like this. Let's put a couple of little area of commercial. This will give these folks over here who don't really have a lot else in close proximity, at least a place to go and shop. Because, you know, there aren't schools in close proximity. This is a place you'd expect there to be some busing. Wow. That is brutal. I am not gonna, yeah, I can't not do anything about that. So I was gonna just leave it, but I am who I am. I must fix this. All right, that made me feel better. So thank you for dealing with my craziness. So okay, so now we kind of have this little area, little residential enclave down here where people get to enjoy the quiet life, yet still be close to big city amenities. In fact, so close, the stadium looms over you. So I would imagine this would be a phenomenal place to live down here. You get a nice water view, no real risk of flooding because I'm not making dams. And also, you know, these are up on a cliff a little bit, so you know, you might not get a you know, the ability to put a boat there or anything, but I am noticing that we have some weird buildings developing here. By weird, I mean we have the slums developing by the water. So I think I am going to give this a zone and set a theme. And I really like this European suburbia. Maybe I'll just do European as well. Oh. International. Basically everything but trailer homes, and we certainly don't want this graffitied building just appearing by the water. Do we have any more of those? I don't think so. Oh, we have a mobile home. Okay. So now we'll get some nicer buildings showing up down here. I just want to make sure it's not those ones. That is not what this area is. I guess maybe it could be this. Is this a nice looking mobile home? Sorry. Generally, mobile homes are not allowed in any zoning district except for one zone for mobile homes. And the reason why mobile homes have become, or mobile home parks have become so valuable is they're generally not a land use category that gets approved anymore. It's not. I have mixed emotions. I know that mobile homes are affordable housing on one hand. On the other hand, they're substandard housing. And I think it's kind of predatory in nature because you don't own your land, you own your trailer, which though it's considered a mobile home is not truly mobile. It's fixed. You try to move it, a lot of times they break. So you end up in a situation where you're attached to this trailer in this particular location and you can't move, and the landowner has the ability to crank the land value up to whatever they want it to be. So it's really kind of the worst of renting and the worst of home ownership all in one, because if your furnace goes out, you're fixing it, and then you're still paying that rent. So you might have it's a bad situation. That rent can fluctuate. So it's the worst of all worlds. So if that said, if someone in a mobile home could buy their mobile home and place it on their own land, I think it would make sense. But that's not often what happens. So anyway, we're in a good spot right now. I want to finish out the ring highway, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it today. So I think this is going to be a two-parter. You notice that we're backing up again. Boy, oh boy, bugs me. Might need to give this a little bit more review to figure out exactly what we do to make this work. And maybe that, I gotta try one more thing. Hold up, Phil from the past. This is Phil from the future, and I'm here to tell you that you are about to make a catastrophic error, and that error is reacting, not planning. So I'm going to save you, the audience, the grisly details of my catastrophic failure, where I take this entire neighborhood and further break it, and let you know that I'm going to dedicate another episode to this neighborhood. I end up taking a slow motion dumpster fire that's rolling down a hill towards a forest, and I give it a nudge and I make it go down that hill faster. And I really don't want to subject you to that. This was tedious, boring, and in general not fun. So we're gonna plan this out, do a better job, and fix it the right way in a future episode. So I'm gonna end it here. If you like this video, please consider hitting the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I release new videos. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon Community Development Director level supporters. I really appreciate your support. You make this content possible. Everyone stay tuned for a quick cinematic of the city. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hello and welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Bluffside Crossing. And in the previous episode, I started to improve the ring highway and I totally broke the industrial district, or so I thought. It's not doing well, but it's not as broken as it was at the end of the last episode. And I've been simulating this now for 10 minutes. And you can see that things are starting to break down a little bit on this main collector into the area, but it could be worse. That said, I'm not sure that I want to fix this just yet. I read one of the comments from Mass Guardian, and he or she recommended that I turn on advanced AI traffic, and I thought that I had this enabled, but interestingly enough, I do not. So let's do that. We will crank up the percentage of vehicles performing dynamic lane selection. And I should have had parking AI on the entire time, get people into the parking garages and off the roads. Let's see what that does. Let's let this go for, let's say, 5 minutes. And we'll see if traffic improves from the 75% to something better. We're already at 77. So if people start using the roundabout correctly, maybe this area is good. I still think I might make some of the changes that I was thinking about, but it might not be as incredibly important as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so I've let this go for more or less 5 minutes, and there are some really good things that are happening. First of all, when I look, I see that traffic is no longer backing up onto the highway. So in my mind, that's already a huge win. Things are backing up in the roundabouts every now and then, but it's not too bad. And our traffic is staying between 78 and 81%. So those are all positive things, but there are certainly some issues. If I could redo this whole neighborhood, if I were going to be minimally invasive, I'd probably put 2 local streets kind of going in this direction rather than 1, and I would eliminate all of these local streets. Kind of, I guess if we're looking this way, north-south local streets, there are double as many as there should be, and half as many east-west local streets. So that would be one improvement I would make. But if I were looking at this like it's brand new, and if I were firing the planner and engineer that worked on this project and letting money fall out of the sky to make this thing work well, instead of having a collector road through here, I think I'd use a one-way street as the collector, and I would do a counterclockwise loop around here. The thought being, we need to get vehicles to all these businesses and then come back around and get people to the cargo train terminal and get them out efficiently. So I'd also work to segregate the traffic that we're having from the cargo train and the passenger train terminal by having kind of a separate one-way loop around there. And I would make sure that these turns around here are as gentle as they can be. So though this is working, I guess, I think I might go rogue. I think I might call a mulligan on this neighborhood in a pretty significant way. And I think I'm going to fire the planner and engineer that worked on this project. Maybe sue the developer of the original neighborhood and start fresh, because this is broken. So I'm going to do a number of things. First of all, you've seen me add this road. This is going to be the loop road, this Kathleen Mason Street. And this other Kathleen Mason Street will change. I don't know who Kathleen Mason is, but boy, does she have a lot of streets. Probably a remnant of all of my reconfigurations around here. Yeah, it's Kathleen Mason, Kathleen Mason, Kathleen Mason, all the way here. So I'm going to do a couple of things through here, and I'll explain what I'm doing after the fact. Okay, so I'm going to start out by I guess cluing you into my thoughts about what I've just done a little bit. So first of all, a lot of eminent domain, someone's getting fired. It's not the planner. I'm ducking behind the engineer and saying, you know what, this was just a bad design, you should have known this. And the engineer's coming up to me and saying, listen, I don't review plats, you do, this is your mistake. So we're probably getting fired together. We will walk to the unemployment line together, blaming each other all along the way. That said, I'm now using this as the collector through here, and I'm going to do a lot more, but this is the start of it. I want this loop to be the primary motion through this area, with a secondary motion of kind of this loop here going to this passenger train station. So we've got that going. Next, and you know, I'm not even sure if it's totally necessary to separate these, but I think there might be some benefit. So next, I'm going to take these. You see that there are these kind of two block areas, and I want to make sure that these are cul-de-sacs, which is something you've probably never heard me say, but there's a good reason I want these to be cul-de-sacs. I want one pressure point for each of them, and I don't want them to be connected at all. So we're going to make those cul-de-sacs now. Okay, so I've done a lot now. So I've done a lot of artful things. So do I think it's a good idea to have two cul-de-sacs in the middle of a loop? Nope. I think that's a pretty bad design. I think that's terrible. But I do think that City Skylines is going to love that. I think it's going to go over like gangbusters. And so I'm doing it. I don't like it, but I'm doing it. This is one of those situations where I think that the design I had in reality would work fine. I don't think that industrial traffic is generated in this way. This is a significant amount of traffic. Things are a little more dispersed than they are in the game. That said, we are working within the game, so we need to play the game from time to time. So next, there's something else I want to do, and this is going to be a very artful intersection. So what we're going to do is this roundabout, things are clogging up there, and I know that. So why continue to let that happen? Let's get artful with it. Let's make things interesting. Let's make things work, even if it doesn't make sense. So we will do that. Okay, so this will force all of this traffic to continue in a loop, unless, of course, it wants to turn. And if it wants to turn, we've got that movement established. So there should be minimal conflicts in this movement now. So this should work really, really efficiently. In reality, I think this would be a nightmare to navigate. But the AI is going to just love it. It's going to think it's wonderful. Makes a lot of sense. It's intuitive if you're a computer. So I do need to do some lane stuff here. So that's what we're going to do. And then here, I want to make sure that we are giving the AI the path that it's looking for. The simple path. Okay, so now over here, I did some things too. So we're going to do some lane mathematic things here. I tried to work on lane mathematics and get it, BIFA approved. And I think I did a good job. That said, I think we're going to do a bad job now. Well, actually, maybe we'll fix some things because we don't need, oh, shoot. I'm going to take things and totally ruin them. So I'm going to take things back to a more rational number of lanes, and hopefully this will still work. So I think we're almost where I want it to be. I did move this cargo train station as well, but I think that what we have here should work. I am going to load it up with industrial. Let's just zone the whole darn thing. Go through. Boom. And now let's see what happens. I also could improve the highway connection. I didn't look at topography, so hopefully, yeah, that's totally disrespected. It's, again, we are showing the topography who's boss. We are boss, at least today. So let's see what happens with this. I have a feeling this is going to function well. And that's not just because I've already sandboxed it. It makes sense from an AI standpoint. And I have sandboxed it. So this will work. Well, we'll give it a couple minutes to simulate. So every now and then you realize that you left your mic muted and didn't explain what you just did. So I went through and I noticed that vehicles were stopping at this junction. So the settings were incorrectly set at this junction. And if you have your settings wrong, so let's just take a look at these settings. If I go through here and I turn this button off, what this does is allow vehicles to smoothly proceed through the intersection. If I turn that off and there's any reason to stop, rather than smoothly proceeding through here, vehicles will stop at this junction. So that said, I have enabled that at all of these because I want vehicles to just smoothly merge through here and not worry about any opposing traffic being in this road ahead of them. They should just keep going. Things are fine. So we're going to let this go just a little bit longer. I just want to make sure that things aren't broken here. I think this design holds up, but I want to be sure. I don't love the length of these distances. Truthfully, those should probably be improved. One way that we could have done that would be to take this highway and separate that and move that, or even tee into here and over here. But I think it's going to function well enough. Here's a little bit of stopping. Let's check out what's happening here. It's another one of those examples where we don't have this button here enabled, and as a result, you're kind of seeing those vehicles stopping whenever something is in the way. So that could be a pedestrian, that could be a car in front of them. So we want to make sure that we have this enabled through here so that vehicles smoothly proceed through here. We don't want them to stop for anything. We want everyone else to yield to this movement. This is the priority road. So I guess along with that, maybe we should actually formalize that and put some stop signs because we haven't. And I think we could probably put yield signs through here. So we'll hold down shift and click on this loop and it adds yield signs all the way around. Do the same thing over here. Yeah, and look at how smooth things are operating now. It's really impressive. We're getting up to 83% tops, lower end 81. And you know, I'm never overly concerned about the percentage. My main concern is stoppage. And you know, I look at congestion and I think that congestion means that a place has activity. It's economic development. It's economic prosperity. When I see a place that has traffic stopped, I know that it just has congestion. And I'm not sure why it's there. You got to troubleshoot that, but that needs to be remedied. A little bit of heavy traffic just means that a place is vibrant. So not overly concerned about that. So that said, we're looking good here. we're looking really good. I'm pretty pleased. We have a little bit of time left in this video, so I might do a little bit more. First of all, I just want to kind of look around. Are things still holding up everywhere else? I think we're looking good. I think we're looking real good. So why don't we go to one of my personal pet peeves in all of Bluffside Crossing, and that is the roller coaster. So I remember in episode 11 looking at this and going, boy, where's the best way to get through? I found this spot and it's perfect, except it's not. And I think at the end of the episode I said, you know what, I'll get back to this at another date. Maybe I'll do it off camera. That was when I was still doing stuff off camera, and I just never did it. I just never fixed this. I just left it lumpy and bumpy and terrible, and this wouldn't be a very nice road to travel down. It would be bluntly terrifying. It would be like a roller coaster, but without the safety rails. So like, you don't know what's going to happen. And if it's snowing, don't take this road. So let's work to remedy that. Let's think about the best way to fix it. And I think the best way to fix it is by just selecting the nodes on this road and fixing it. So let's do that. So first of all, I don't want to get too far, so I'm going to select probably up to about here. Go in here and I will align this to terrain height. To object height. And I will let's pick this area. And look what that did. Huge adjustment. And that might seem unreasonable, but again, this is a highway. And I think the expectation is that, well, I don't just think, I know that the faster the speed, the smoother the road, the more gentle the slope should be, the more gentle the turn should be. If the main objective is to get people places fast, the road has to be as gentle as possible, and this wasn't that. So we've got a nice turn here now. We still got the lumpies and bumpies up the hill. So let's remedy that. So go along here, select some nodes, I want that thing out of the way. So just double clicked and held that to move it. Now I'm going to slope these objects, and you'll see that already made a huge difference. We've still got some weird stuff going on, and we're going to want to take a look at that, but we're already in a dramatically better place. And some of this, you can see that the road's just turning a little bit here, and that's why it's bumpy. So we're in a better spot. I think we want to continue to go through and slope this though. So we'll go a little bit further. And that's going to take the road down there. So we rose it up in this area and took it down. So as I drag the screen, it also drags the road. Not great. So this is better. This is still very steep. Let's look at our terrain view. Yeah, that's extreme. So we'll just keep going. We've got a little bit more we can do. So let's select some more. And I like to kind of do it in these stages. Get things a little better, keep going. A little better, keep going. And that's even a little bit better. So, once more. A little better. Now that is something. Yeah, I don't know that I like this. I think I might have gone... Let me take it a step back and see if I like it. No, can't step back anymore. So that's a lot of change. I'm raising this road up. Let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meters. Wow. Not great. Not terrible. Let's still see if we can smooth out some of these other ones. So now we might just kind of want to take a smaller segment and continue to slope things out, smooth things out. That's better. Let's go through as we're making the topography exactly what we'd hope it would be. Perfect. We might as well continue. So these cliffs are unreasonable. Let's fill them in. If we make our brush size a little bit bigger, not better. I mean, I guess it's better. I want to make sure that I'm covering, kind of 50-50. Covering the outside of the road and the road itself, so I get that height just right. So on this edge, I'm not thrilled with what's happening. There's still kind of a cliff over here. So I think I might just extend this out just a little bit. And as I go up those grades, continue to raise it up. And then I'm going to grab, again, my feathering tool, make it big. Maybe not that big. And just kind of tap and feather. Just want to get that fall away from the road. So it's still pretty bumpy and lumpy, and don't worry, we're going to fix that. Let's use some node controller. Make sloped. Whoa! That is not what I want. I saw one node that looked a little out of sorts, and I just wanted to move it over just a bit. I think it really cleans things up, and it's those little things that eat at me. I don't know if they eat at you, but for me, it's just a killer. I hate it. So I like to check those things out, and if I see them, go through and fix them. Now that I have the ability, why not? Little things like this. All right. Very good. So now I think we're in a good spot there. Look at this. We're heading down this road. Let's go into our cinematic. In fact, let's slow things down. Why don't we take a drive? We'll see how scary this is. Okay, let's follow this blue van. And so far, so good. Look at that. Just a little hump. I think that in reality, we'd want to smooth out that little hump right there for visibility's sake. The last thing you want to do is go up. The road's a little less straight than I'd like it to be, but it's fine. It's acceptable. But no more lumpies and bumpies, and a great vista as you're coming down. You'd expect that some trucks would be hammering on the brakes a little bit. Maybe a spot right there that I could clean up. Probably shouldn't go up right here, but we're in a good spot. We're in a very good spot. Maybe this isn't so great. All right. There's always room for improvement. And that's what we're about here. Constantly improving. And this, wow, that's terrible. So, wow. That's why every now and then, I really encourage you, if you're playing this game, take a look at your city from the street view, because you might see some things that are pretty unnerving, that are pretty crazy. like that's just not reasonable. I mean, truthfully, this in general, why is this turning in? I mean, it looks neat. It follows that path. Is it necessary? You probably just go straight. But I think this was an asset that I plopped, so that's why it is the way it is. So we'll see if that was ill. Yeah, that was ill-advised. So I thought I'd have a little bit more time to judge whether that was ill-advised or not. I did not. That was just bad. Very, very bad. So let's go through and try to remedy that a little bit. I think the way we're going to do it is we'll select those nodes and we will slope things, and that's much gentler. We'll try to do the same thing on this side. Oh, so much better. Now, if we wanted to get super particular about this, we take this, we continue to kind of go through node by node and make sure that everything lines up. Everything's just so. And that would be the way that you get everything to be just perfect. But that's time consuming and it creates new problems. Look at this. Now we've got this bridge here that's just insane. And it's kind of arbitrary. So now we're going to lower this back down because that would be the rational thing to do. And this is why during construction projects, you don't grade on the fly. You grade up front and you have a plan. So you don't deal with this kind of stuff. Can you imagine building a highway and just the entire time regrading as you realize that you made a mistake? Like, so many firings. Okay, so this is not perfect. We're going to node controller it. We'll see if we can improve things at all. All right, so that's pretty terrible. So I think I might have made some of that worse, and that's unfortunate. That's not what I was aiming for, but I'm going to move on for the time being, at least. Sometimes you just need to accept your mistakes, move on, and try to come back to it at another point when maybe you aren't quite so obsessed with trying to make it perfect. All right, so I've made some adjustments here and totally messed this up, but I wanted that bridge to be straight and then maybe drop off afterwards. So I think we're going to make some tweaks to this that will improve it. Okay, I like this much, much, much more. We're kind of working our way up on that elevation, and it's smoother. It's a much smoother transition. So in my mind, this is still not perfect, but it's much closer to perfect than it was before. And sometimes you can't let good be the enemy of, or perfect be the enemy of good. Because this is significantly better. Compared to where we were at, it's just not even comparable. So maybe I just need to let it go. So let's continue to work our way up. And this is, again, we're in crazy land. So this goes up, it kind of oscillates between being bridges and not. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that we don't have any bridges. I don't want bridges going up the hillside. We will deal with grading rather than bridges. That, in my mind, makes a ton of sense. Bridges are incredibly expensive, way more expensive than pushing dirt around. So obviously, if we're going to do anything, we're going to push dirt around. That's cheap. Dirt's all over the place, especially in bluffside crossings. So let's push dirt around. And now again, we're going to do the slopey thing where we just go through and try to make this a gentler slope. Make it something a little more reasonable. I do see this is a problem. Like those sight distances right there would be challenging coming up over this hill. You'd be surprised by whatever comes underneath you. So this in particular, we're going to want to slope, take that down, and do that. Whoa! Diving, flying, going all over the place. Whoa. Okay. I need to take a step back. I am messing things up. All right. Much better. So this is another area where we're kind of dipping down for no apparent reason. Or maybe just too extremely. We can slope that, make that gentle. I think this bridge might truthfully extend a bit further or further back, but this will work fine. It's hard to say how this would be engineered. And I'm not an engineer. Surprise, surprise. I'm a planner. So I would say, you know what, this really should be here, and the engineers that do all of the dirty work of figuring out how to make it happen. It's one of the things I love about planning is I get to have the big ideas, and the engineers get to implement them. Okay, so just doing a little bit more smoothing, a little bit more work on all of these roads that would carry a lot of traffic quickly. Because the last thing you want on these roads are lumpies and bumpies disrupting, people being terrified because of unexpected terrain changes. That is absolutely what you want to avoid when you have a high-speed road. So I think, even though this is a lot of work, this would have been done up front. And truthfully, I kind of like the aesthetic of this. You know, a lot of this would be blasted out, so it's not unreasonable to me that there'd be kind of a cliff there. There'd probably be a bridge on this side, or a bridge, some sort of guardrail on this side. It's gonna go through this area. Once again, just do a little bit more sloping. I think that would be brought up. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. And we'll probably also want to bring up these power lines. We've got some things happening now that don't make a ton of sense. So I am going to destroy this whole thing, apparently. And it might just be easier for me to rebuild these. So I might just do that quickly. All right, so you might have noticed I left the sides up that have kind of been carved into the ground, but smooth things out where there was kind of a cliff off the edge. And the reason for that is I think that, especially, you know, I know that I'm gonna need guardrails over here. So, not overly concerned about an area where there's a cliff that's protecting people as opposed to an area where there is, or it's not, I guess not a cliff, a mountainside that's protecting people, as opposed to an area where there's a cliff where you fall off. So guardrails here just in case. All right, we have some more smoothing work to do over here. We've got a lot of weird stuff happening. So let's take care of that now as well. And then for these power lines, I'm gonna try my darndest to not screw these up. And I'm still doing it. So I find that it's difficult to actually select the power lines correctly. So I personally, if I'm going to demolish them or try to move their height, I like to just rebuild them. They're inexpensive and it's not that big of a deal. So that's what I'm gonna do. Much better. Don't love those heights, but that is what it is. So I think we're good here. There's still more work that we could do over here. Kills me. But I'll try a couple things. Oh, again, good is not the enemy of perfect. Oh, but that, whoa. But this is significantly better, so maybe I should just accept my little wins when I have them. Because, whoa. Whoa. What did I do here? That's no good. Okay. So, I think I was holding on to a node, creating lots of problems. So there are just some ugly things happening here that really bother me. But it seems like the more work I do, the more messed up I make it. So I don't know if this is actually benefiting me in the way that I hope it. I kind of hope it would. And you know, I keep preaching that you know, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, and then I go and I continue to make modifications. So I get in that I fall into that trap quite often. It's, in my mind, a pretty easy one to fall into. It's better. You know, it's better. So I do feel like the longer I play with this, the better it gets. It's just how good does it need to be? Oh, it's still bad. Yeah, there's just so much I want to do. So I'm gonna do just a little bit more. Just a little bit. See what these... Oh. Yeah, that's not gonna work. So now the cars are driving through this bridge here. Okay, you know what? I think that might be better. Or I think I might need to just stop. And I hope that you've enjoyed this sloping simulator today, because we have done some sloping. To the point that I feel a little bad right now. That was a lot of sloping, and the net result is that it's still not perfect. Of course. And I feel like I could do this, move this road up and down for the rest of my life and not get it right. And all it makes me want to do is just blow the whole thing up and start over. Okay, I'm going to stop. Because this whole deal right here is far less impactful than what I did over here. And this took a fraction of the time. Just making sure that I'm not dragging this all over the place. and this as well. And I know that there's more work that needs to be done. We're going to have one more series of fixes to this. But when we're done, this is going to be so spectacular that everyone is going to want to move to Bluffside Crossing. So I'm going to keep doing it because it's so important to get these roads to be a little bit more, these high-speed roads, to be a little bit more rational. A little bit, when we think about those site angles, we need to make sure that we're not getting surprised as we go up over up hills and around corners. We want to make sure that it's a nice, gentle transition. Now, on local roads, respect the topography. Respect the topography. When you're figuring out your roadway paths, respect the topography. But when you are laying out an arterial highway, even a major collector, make sure it's not lumpy. Make sure that the site angles make sense, that you can see when you're going down a freeway. So with that, I think we're going to leave it here for today. I think that we're in a good spot. We've made some good improvements. I do want to take one last look over at our industrial district and see how we're doing. Let's look at traffic one more time. 100%. Sometimes this happens when you make so many wonderful improvements. You start to see that your traffic reads 100%. It's still, in my mind, looking pretty good. Let's speed it up. We'll see. So, little teeny tiny interruption here. After filming the cinematic, I could see the traffic flow for some bizarre reason, and we're oscillating between 81 and 82%. So I think that that is pretty darn good. Okay, back to normal video. So I know it's not 100, but I know it's pretty good. And I also know that if I wanted to make this even better, I'd remove zoning from this road. So that would be another strategy. So let's just do that real quick. We'll kind of take a targeted approach. There are areas where zoning doesn't help, and why not disable it in those areas? Let access come from those side roads. So the other thing is we have these buildings that aren't necessarily lined up anymore, and that's because we are using some mods that allow you to place buildings wherever you want. So the plus side is you can place buildings wherever you want. The downside is you remove a road and that building stays there forever. So you end up with some really wonky looking buildings unless you are actively going through and deleting those. So I know that that can create access conflicts with those buildings if you don't remove them. So that's why I went through and I deleted a couple buildings. So hopefully that makes sense. So with that, we are going to leave this here today. If you like this video, I really, really hope that you hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when I release new videos. A big shout out to my Patreon supporters at the Community Development Director level. Their names are listed here. I really appreciate your support. It helps me continue to create great content. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Stay tuned for a brief cinematic. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Bluffside Crossing. And we are currently looking at one of the builds that I am least satisfied with in this entire city. It's the double trumpet. This is the two interchanges that separate our forestry district from Green Hills. It's a really bizarre configuration. Today we're going to fix this. So let's get started. First I want to pause this. We're going to want to do quite a bit of, we're going to do quite a bit of destruction here. And I'm concerned that if I don't pause this, I'm going to really damage this area. That said, you know what? No, we're going to go for it. We're going to see what happens. This is what happens when things are reconstructed. People will find alternative routes to get places, and they would be signed. So nothing is really super important here, I think, except for this power line. It would be nice to maintain this freeway access. Absolutely. But there's another way into all of these places, and that's because we made everything redundant. So we're good. So what I think we're going to use here is we're going to use a spooey. So this is a nice urban interchange that provides through movement through these areas. And I think that's going to be really important because, reasonably, so I thought about two. There's a divergent diamond. We could use that. Or we could use this. And I think that this will just provide that through movement a little bit better. And that's the movement I want to prioritize between these areas. So this is a pre-built asset, and it's one that's included in the Bluffside Crossing set. I think I'm going to pause it for a second because of that power line. I'm going to place it right here. So after placing the spooey, I thought about this a little bit more, and I don't like the so in the spooey everything's coming into the middle, and I don't think that is necessarily the best option for us. So we take a look at this. Obviously we need to grade this first, but you have all of this merging occurring, and then that's not going to work in the game. So that isn't necessarily the best asset. I do like this industrial interchange. The one thing I would change if I use this is that I would probably take the highway and elevate it over the road. That seems, in my opinion, to be a little bit more natural of a way to approach that. And then there is this DCMI that, this diverging diamond that we could also use. I kind of want to take a look at this. I'm just going to plop it quick and see how it looks. That looks like it's not going to work very well. So I think we are going to go with this industrial interchange, but we need to look at our topography first. So let's take a look, and yeah, that is some pretty challenging topography. So in this instance, I am 100% certain that something would be done to make this a little less stark. That's a significant grade. So something's going to have to be done to fix this. We're going to have to figure that out right now. So we're going to begin to grade this. We're going to want to level this at a point where maybe we could make a transition between each of the existing highways. So I think we'll go here, somewhere in the middle, and carve out a location for this. And this is kind of temporary for now. We will figure out the exact location of everything in the near future. Okay, so that is probably as good as it's going to get. We're going to have a lot of work to do on this. I don't love this. I think we're actually going to have to bring it up a little bit more. This is the challenge. This is probably not the best location for this arterial, but it's already there, so we're gonna have to work with it. We're gonna be doing a lot of grading today. Whoa, that's a little more than I wanted to do. I just know that with the types of uses we're gonna be focusing on today, being level is gonna be very important. And that power line, that's gotta go. If I don't take care of that now, we're going to lose it. So I'm just going to struggle with this just a little bit. That happens from time to time. Okay, much better. Back to our flat pad, and I think we can finally get this thing placed. I would really love to get this as close to that existing road as I can. So one of the things that I think is going to work in my favor is I plan on raising up the main highway, and I think that that's going to help out a lot. So we want to make sure that this main road through here is flat, but beyond that, I'm not overly concerned with this because we're going to eliminate it anyway. So I think we might just take this, well, might just take this highway and begin the elevation fairly quickly. Now this is going to be a challenge, so let's get going on getting this to be a little bit more level. There's certainly challenges that we're going to have to work through. I think I want to be really